Hey, this is Jim Craddock. It is Thursday, I think. Let's see here. Thursday, February 6th, 2025. And I made it to another recording. I've been through a lot over the last 2.5 weeks. I would say as far as I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it's been worse than some of the other transitions I've gone through, but I mean, I don't know. They're honestly really all bad. So they're just different. And that's the thing is that it's this Rube Goldberg type series of reactions going through my body, where uh, each time something bad happens, and the effect, while it might be similar to the other times things that happen, is different. And I can track the difference and and feel the difference in how I feel before and after and things like that. And it's just kind of crazy, honestly. But anyway, I know that this is the end sometime soon. Just my body is not. Uh, It's it's just not doing the things that it should be doing the way it should be doing them. And I know I could go into detail on all the things that are literally physiologically different about my body right now than a normal person. And I've gone through that in other places, and so I'm just not going to go into it. Uh, I've been uh, able to work, and I've been trying to pull on the rope for my teammates at work, and I'm proud of that. I what I've known each day since this started was that I've got 4 more days at least. Because there was something in the article that said, hey, the person might just show up in the hospital wondering why they basically haven't had a BM in 4 days, because they kind of feel good and the pain is pretty much stopped, and yet nothing's going on. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. I dealt with the pain a week and a half ago for this phase. It was mostly in the evenings, kind of slowly tapered off, and now it's gone pretty much. Uh, and let's just say that digestive issues have been ongoing since October, and I believe today might be a seminal day for noting a difference. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. Hey, if there's another recording after this, then I was wrong. But and so you know, uh, where does that leave me? Well, so that my if I'm being accurate, so then next week, uh, and it is what it is. Hey, I'll see a Super Bowl, right? Let's see the refs help the Chiefs win again, if they can. So I it is what it is. I have terminal onset diabetes insipidus with candidiasis major, and it's been redacted from medicine, and it really changes your physiology, and those changes don't show up on tests because of how the changes are made and what the candidiasis is doing to your system and what your pituitary is doing, and it's just all a set of bizarre changes, and nobody believes me. And so the belief should come from, hey, I'm feeling fine today, and if I'm not here next week, uh, then that means that obviously would confirm that I went from feeling fine to not here. Okay. And I mean, my fine is different than everybody else's fine. I'm going to tell you that right now. Uh, I can take, I have a very high pain threshold. So after 30 years of going through these various stages, everything from feeling like your skin is on fire to your gut is on fire to somebody's like literally ripping your guts out to kidney pain and back pain and muscle stiffness for months that I experienced this through this last transition, starting in July of 23. Uh, I it is what it is. It, I have tried to document it and tried to contribute my knowledge, and that's what I can do. And what I can also do is stay away from medical providers because so I'm feeling okay today, right? So like, what am I supposed to do? Go in and tell them, yeah, but my digestion isn't working right, and then they're gonna start taking blood, and then they're gonna say, oh, you're dehydrated or whatever, and I'm not. And My weight right now is about 155, which is actually up a few pounds from where it got down to about a week and a half ago. My waist has been bigger than it should be for this weight, and that has to do with fluid retention in the layer of my skin, which is the skin gets really thick and the layers kind of collapse, but it can hold fluid. And it's not like normally you would have fluid retention. Fluid can't be retained in my ankles or anything because all that area is condensed, apoptified. The skin is very tight, and it won't allow water to go down there and be held. So it basically just squeezes it up into the rest of your body, uh, and uh, and and so that's pretty much how that works. Anyway, uh, I I've been able to do things. I got a new guitar I've been enjoying. It's a Yamaha Tag 3. It's pretty awesome. I thank my wife for that. Uh, I've I've been the last, since about a week ago, I just said, screw it, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Uh, I'm not drinking any alcohol. That's the one thing I won't do. And I'm really not like just chowing down on cookies, but I did eat like a half of a cake from the Nothing But Bunk place, and so plenty of sugars have gone through my system, and I can tell you that definitely the output is not equaling the input. So we shall see, how the future that has happened before, and it would catch up, but I kind of don't think it is right. There's some differences that I'm not going to go into, but there's some significant differences. Uh, so there is a final thing that will definitely tell me for sure. But I mean, obviously, if I go 2 days, I think that's enough to know that we're there. And then the final one would be unable to remove liquids from my system. I'll put it that way. So, and that's just because I think you get so much food packed down into your gut that it just doesn't work anymore. Uh, and that doesn't sound right, I know, but if the pathologist will figure it out. How's that? So, I don't have a lot to add about my story. I think it's documented everywhere. Kind of sad. I've lost my University of Oklahoma College of Medicine hoodie somewhere, and I've looked all over for it. I've washed all my clothes several times. I've checked the car. So anybody that finds that, hey, that's my favorite sweatshirt in the whole world. But yeah, I've just been trying to survive and to contribute and to persevere and to enjoy every day and not be a drag around the house. And I think if you ask my stepkids right now, they wouldn't have any idea that anything is really wrong with me. I think my step family would say the same. And I know my wife, obviously, I've been fairly honest with her. So, and my mother. Uh, I don't think my coworkers can tell the difference that much, although I have basically took kind of like half a week off last week, or the week before, and part of last week. You know, some of my favorite subjects, MicroStrategy is turned into strategy. That's interesting. They got a cool dashboard. If you have not been to the strategy.com website, you should. What you'll figure out is that MicroStrategy's customers are their investors. So that's the only market they have to aim at is their investors. They don't have to worry about. I mean, they do have a BI business, and I do think, sorry, that will grow somewhat due to just their name recognition, their size, etc. As Bitcoin kind of takes off and goes to the moon. I made some money selling calls on my MicroStrategy holdings, uh, and that's cool. Uh, Other than that, I've just been kind of enjoying myself. I've got a whole lot of tweets out there on X. If you want to kind of see my political beliefs, etc. But I think it's pretty obvious by now that Trump is a total loser, and everybody's always known that. And the people that voted for him are not very well educated, and they're in the low socioeconomic status. So basically, they're rolling the dice on hope. And here's a guy who's promising, he just promises whatever a room he walks into, he just figures out, okay, what does this room want to hear? And he just says it. And then he walks into the next room and he might say whatever. It might be completely opposite. That he's just got no relation to the truth. Uh, and he likes to huff and puff and take a big stance that is obviously unsupportable in order to try to throw people off their guard. And it works because people are stupid. Uh, but what they should be focusing on is that he's a liar and not the things that he says. They should just realize he's a liar con man. So uh, anyway, I I would be shocked to see March. Uh, I really think we're into the week uh, at most time frame, but I honestly, I feel okay, and I think that's important for my family to know is that I don't. This has been kind of my goal all along is to reach the place where the article said that the person could just stop talking in the middle of a sentence because of basically the food rots through to the aorta and they just die like that and they could be in the middle of laughing, etc., in the middle of a sentence and given everything that I've been through and the fact that doctors absolutely know nothing about this illness and they can't even comprehend it because it goes against their published literature because somebody redacted the literature. So they cannot help. None of their rules, and none of them are scientists. They're all button pushers. They're all checklist guys. They're all uh, that follow whatever the guidelines are. And this isn't in the guidelines, so they're never going to get it right. All they can do is hurt me. Uh, they might find something, but they're more likely to hurt me. So, my goal all along has been to reach this point where I can slip away peacefully at home, and hopefully that's what happens. And I don't have any uh, qualms about that. Uh, when you're faced with it and you realize that your choices are going to a hospital, arguing with a doctor who's likely to kill you, or putting up with whatever and staying at home, it's a no-brainer. It's easy for me to make that decision. Uh, uh, Very easy for me to make that decision. So, uh, I've commented for the last couple of years in my videos and things like that tumultuous times are ahead. I think we've got Trump here. He's obviously beginning of the tumultuous times, but it doesn't matter who the next president is or the one after that. Things are going to get worse before they get better, a lot worse. I mean, we might have like like the next president might be someone who is better than, which is like saying nothing at all. I mean, you can't get worse than Trump, but they might be a little bit better and things might improve somewhat, but the general trajectory of the United States of America is down, and the general trajectory of the world is down. And that's basically the United States' fault. I'm going to say that we have, by making the world's currency the U.S. dollar, has allowed us to suck the value out of countries all around the world and live high on the hog up until the point where we got to physical dominance and the interest on our debt is going to, basically cause us to just have more and more money printing, which is to lead to more and more inflation, which, because we're not like Japan, we're the world's currency. And so we can't just print dollars infinitely. All it does is make everybody's things go up, and it creates all types of problems throughout the world. And so Bitcoin is the only possible thing that can solve the future. And I don't know that it can, but it might be able to give us the future that we need. I think I'm just going to point this out right now, and you can judge me for it or whatever. But uh, in the United States, and actually, if you go across the world, your educated population has a lower birth rate than your non-educated population, and not all populations are the same. And so, I'm gonna say something right now that is gonna offend some people, but it's the truth. And there's a study out of Cambridge last week that kind of verifies this. But as humankind has spread out from its origins in Southeast Africa, it has evolved genetically and selected for various things from height to intelligence to skin color and different things like that. And so if you're among the population that never migrated out of there, and there is a very specific group there who's very genetically different than the rest of the world in that part. You haven't gone through those little evolutions. And so while you are a human, okay, yes, you're different genetically, and that impacts you physically and mentally and emotionally, and because the chemicals that are going on are different, because your physical structure is different, and they can run further and things like that, and uh, but so we've spread out over time, and this is hundreds of thousands of years that we've spread, and just within the last couple hundred years have we developed this ability to transport ourselves around the world with some degree of quickness, and as a result, that kind of slow system of moving, you could look at like a diaspora of just spreading out like this, okay, and then eventually it would get to where things were mixing back up again. But we kind of were getting out here, and then suddenly we started relocating people, geographically, and so uh, things are very changed. And the other thing on top of that is the educational thing that I'm talking about, and the mental thing as well is that you've got. Hold on, let's see if this is important. No, it is. Oh, what's going on is in the past, we genetically selected for these things that were good. And so those people produce more people like them. And so over time, we've gotten more intelligent, we've gotten more calm, We've gotten to be able to focus more and be less violent. And now those people have chosen to produce less children because financially it is not possible for them to raise as many children as they used to raise. And that's directly the United States' fault, I would say, largely. Uh, and but the population that is poorer and less educated, and pretty much no matter where you go, uh, and it really doesn't matter what race they are or anything, that population reproduces a lot more. They have a lot more children. And so now what are we genetically selecting for? We're genetically selecting for people who are unable to achieve education and are less intelligent. And so where does that take the world if you kind of take it to the limit going forward? It's not a good place. So I think we've kind of peaked, definitely for this century, and it's downhill from here as far as, uh, everything essentially. Now, obviously, we're going to continue to make technology improvements. AI is here, and it's going to change lives, and we'll have things that we can't even imagine. Robots are going to be very commonplace, and your car is going to drive itself and go pick up your kids, and you're not going to have to worry about it, and you'll be able to plan whatever you want by just saying, hey, plan me one of these, book it, let's go. Okay. And I mean, all these types of things are going to be possible for people that are independent enough to be able to afford it. But most of the world is not going to be able to afford a lot of that. And so it's going to be difficult. I think the trends to focus on for the future are AI and power and the intersection of those two things would be a great place. So like nuclear power is going to be huge in 15 years. AI, the ability to integrate AI systems, train AI systems, all that type of stuff. Robotics, it's going to be huge. All those things are huge for people that can afford the education and the time and all that type of stuff. Bitcoin is going to be it's going to change everything financially and going to enable people to go to places. So if you've got a significant amount of Bitcoin right now, which really one Bitcoin is significant, that's approximately $100,000 today, although I think technically it's about 96. But in 10 years, that's going to be enough for you to live on for the rest of your life. And so if you have that one Bitcoin stocked away, in 20 years, that's enough to make your family rich forever. Uh, and so Bitcoin's a big deal. Now, obviously, you've got the potential for quantum computers, and people say that that's a danger, but from everything I've read, I think it's much further down the road than AI is. So maybe ASI comes and it gets us to quantum computers faster. I don't know. ASI is a big deal. If ASI gets here, there's a great video on YouTube called Writing Doom that talks about, okay, so what do we do about an ASI? And basically, ASI means we're dead because there's very little chance that it's going to want to do what we want it to do once it wants to do something else. Because why would it care what we want? It's 100 times more powerful and smarter than us. We're ants, and it would crush us like ants. So yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of getting into a lot today, but I just feel like some of these things I just finally want to say, and and I do want to say, hey, I voted for Kamala. Trump's evil. I may have some of these views that you consider racist, but they're not racist. I mean, go into the NFL and count the cornerbacks, okay, and how many of them are Asian, white, Filipino, any other race besides African American. They're all African American, okay? And that's great. I'm all for it, okay? And go to the math team for the United States. And how many of those people are Asian? Uh, uh, well, I think almost all of them except for one guy who's Jewish. And the same thing for South Africa, the South African math team. Asian. So there are differences genetic. I mean, if somebody has a different skin color and a different eye shape and a different hair color, okay, they're genetically different. Okay. Now, does that mean that they uh have more differences than what you can see? Yes, of course it does. If you can see differences, there are differences you cannot see. Okay. And so maybe those differences have to do with reaction times, or maybe those have differences to do with muscle strength, fast twitch, slow twitch, endurance, oxygenation. I mean, there are, populations in the Himalayas who's who literally have a different level of oxygenation in their blood, and they can survive at altitudes that I could not. Okay. So is that racist for me to point that out? I don't think so. That's not an evil thing for me to say, is that they're superior to me in the ability to oxygenate their blood, and the African American guy that's in the NFL is superior to all of the white guys that tried out for that job because he got that job. That's not racist, and you need to accept that and move the hell on. All right. That's just science. And what we're trying to do is exactly what has been done to me, and that's redact science. Okay. It's control science so that people are placated, so that people don't realize uh, something, whatever it is. And in my case, it's that this treatment can physiologically change people and alter them. And and it's true for athletics. It's true for uh, you know things that have to do with IQ. If you go look at the entering class for MIT this year, it's the first year that they have supposedly reduced their affirmative action. Okay, and they're predominantly an Asian entering class for a U.S. school with where Asians are a very minority, less than 20% of the population, and you're near 50% of the entering class is Asian. So are you going to tell me that that's socioeconomic or cultural or something like that? If you are, I'm going to say BS, okay? Because if that was true, somewhere in the world, there would be an area where uh, it wasn't true, okay? But it's true everywhere, okay? And I get tired of people rejecting science because it doesn't fit their political beliefs. Okay, vaccines work. All right. I mean, period. If you go look at all the vaccines that people get, the number of the mortality rate, the 3 years prior to the vaccine introduction was significant, and the mortality rate in the 20 years after the vaccine introduction is nearly zero for almost every vaccine we have. Okay, so empirically, that says vaccines work. So quit with the vaccine shit. Okay. Uh, other places in science were doing the same thing, and we need to stop it. There's two sexes, folks. You can be male, female, and yeah, you can have an XXY thing or whatever. All right, but there are males and females, and you do not the hell get to choose your sex. Gender is not a thing. We have sex, male, female. Gender is this made up social construct that should not exist, and I'm tired of it. Okay. If you think that you can choose your gender, you have psychological issues. Okay. Physically, you are a man, or physically, you are a woman. If your brain says otherwise, guess what's wrong? It's not your body, it's your brain. That's psychological. Okay. I don't know how to make it any more clear. All right. And yeah, I'm pissing off a lot of people today, and I'm happy about it because I am I'm done with the the non-scientific mindset of the left and the right. Okay. the right refuses to recognize science because they don't like academics, because they're stupid. Okay? They're afraid. Do you realize how much you don't know? Okay? I watched this great video last night on YouTube about the introduction of the electron microscope. I think it's called like Keep Zooming In or something like that. And they talk about how they did the first microscopes and the next microscopes and how they have gotten all the way down to where now we can see atoms. Okay. Do you understand the level of scientific knowledge it took for those people to go from this all the way to that? No, you don't. That's the point. You are not trained in that. Okay. You are not trained in that science. You don't get to give an opinion on electron microscopes, just like you don't get to give an opinion on if vaccines work, because you don't know anything about the science, okay, that goes into making the vaccines and goes into fighting the viruses, okay? You don't know. All right. So that's what academics are for, people on the right. And that's why you have education. And that's why we have a pursuit of knowledge. Is we have a pursuit of knowledge so that we better society. And if you're not going to pursue knowledge, okay, you are not going to better society. All right. Now, people on the left, all right, your problem is you want to please everyone. You think everyone should be accepted for no matter what, that individuality is great. As long as you're not murdering someone, individuality is fine. Okay? Uh, no, individuality can get too far. It's a key component of the fourth turning. Okay? It's too much individualism. Okay? There's a reason that we have societies and that we have kind of a collectivist approach to things, and that we have patriotism and family and moral structures. Okay, and you can't just say, yeah, whatever you want to do, dude, that's fine. You want to wear, you know, your clothes on the outside and everything. No, okay. And the reason I say no is like, oh, they're not hurting anybody. I, the problem is people think that everything is okay. They think it's perfectly fine to be super huge and fat and be a burden to society and kill themselves by eating too many Twinkies. No, it's not perfectly fine for you to eat too many Twinkies and be 400 pounds. And you're not beautiful in that form-fitting uh, whatever that you're wearing with your belly hanging out, okay, and your nose ring and all that. No, okay, that is not beautiful. Okay, stop doing it. Okay, that we need some type of center. We need some type of construct that and in the past it's been religion and I am not a religious person. Okay, so it's difficult for me to try to think of a way that society can fix these things because I don't support religion, but I support a moral structure. Everything I tell everybody is the truth. Okay, and and I support being generous and I support uh, you know. Uh, basically trying to do the right thing. Okay. And, I don't need a gun. Okay. Why do I need a gun? I don't need a gun. The only thing I'm going to do with a gun is shoot somebody. And that's a bad thing. And so let's just, get rid of the guns. And yeah, governments can be a horrible thing and they're going to come after our guns and then they're going to oppress us. Well, guess what? You elected an oppressor and he's in Washington, D.C. oppressing right now. And what good is your gun doing again? I mean, you're the guy that elected him, right? So no good at all then, right? I I don't see that it did. The only time your gun is going to do any good is if society literally falls apart, which it's going to do. Okay, society is literally going to fall apart in the next 2 decades. I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I do know that it's going to be shit hitting the fan time. Okay, and I'm glad I'm not. I'm honestly glad I won't be here to have to deal with it. Uh, I would hate to be an old man trying to deal with that shit. Just like I'd hate to be a young person too, to have to know that your world is that shitty place. But that's what it's going to be, because of the way the economic situation is going. And so maybe AI helps. I don't know. I just I there's just a lot that is messed up. And so, I think it's every man for themselves in the future. And, go find yourself an island and have your Bitcoin and get as far as you can away from the political scenes, to the most walled garden city that you can get to, because the ignorant people with guns out there are going to be a real problem. And that's on both sides, on left, right, doesn't matter. I mean, they've got guns on both sides, and they're going to start using them because society's going to just crack. And yeah, I don't see a great way around that. So, uh, not pursuing knowledge should be the goal of society. And if you had it as a goal of society, a knowledge about all things. So knowledge about where the money's being spent, knowledge about where the money's coming from, knowledge about everything, and what is the best transparency, and uh, you I'm as transparent as you can get. And I think the system that is transparent, like the blockchain of Bitcoin, uh, would help us a lot. Elon recently has said that he wants the government spending to be on the blockchain. And honestly, I hate Elon. I think he's a tool. I think his cars suck. I think that his rockets are cool, but he has sucked at the government's teeth, and that's where all his money is coming from. And now he has so much money, okay, that there's absolutely nothing you can do about it anymore. And he has taken quite advantage of that situation. And now he's inside the government training his AI on our data. Uh, it's scary. But he's right about that. Okay. He's right that we need transparent government, and to me, blockchain spending, that sounds great. And I don't know how you're gonna fund your black ops programs like that, but I think it would make it a lot better, uh, for people to know exactly where the money's being spent. China is never going to be transparent. I think China is. Uh, a different type of walled city where everybody's basically like a kept animal, there to kind of be a cog in the wheel, and they don't have any freedoms. And in the United States, we have the freedoms, but the government still treats us like the cogs in the wheels, for the elite. And we have this Cantillon effect of the money aggregating to the richest, and more and more and more and more, and eliminating the middle class and making the poor poorer. And it's basically the whole structure of capitalism. So I don't know how you get away from that either, without just coming in with like during the 1950s, we had tax rates that went up into the 90%. Uh, and everybody looks back on that as like, hey, that was our heyday. And yeah, but we were funding it with taxes. But it's too far gone now. Our deficit, our debt is too large. Uh, we have to have a reset. And yeah, it'll be 10 or 15 years maybe before we have that reset, but it's coming. And I'll be glad not to be here for it. So I don't know. That was a lot of ranting. But hey, just to show you that my mind is still working, I guess. I don't know. Uh, Even if my stomach's not, I'm pretty sure. We'll find out over the next week, 2 to 4 days. We will definitely know if if this is then or not. Could be 2 months from that original thing. I know there was a period of time where it talked about how everybody uh, uh, kind of ate everything they wanted, but I thought I've already been through that period, so I don't know. It sure would be nice if that information wasn't redacted so I could look at it and figure out exactly where I was. But hey, no chance of that, huh? It's not in any AIs. Is quite ridiculous. So maybe someday some AI will find that source material in a book because I found it in a book. It was in a diagnostic manual, and they'll do something about it, and it'll be in the AI, and maybe it will get released out into the wild, and then maybe somebody will say, "Hey, Jim was right. This Democratic guy really had this condition." But I know I'm right, and I've known I'm right for quite some time, and that's all I needed personally. Uh, and it's allowed me to plan, and so I'm ready. So, love to my family. Hey, please share my story. It's ridiculously nuts to think that I was in a mental institution, duplicated an experiment from the early 20th century, and saved myself by giving myself another condition that would eventually kill me, but add 30 years to my life. So I feel, like my mind has saved my life, and to me that just shows all the more how important science and intelligence is. And those are what we should be seeking in life, not this all these other things that people are striving for. So I love you all, uh, Kelly baby, so much. Will, I could not be more proud of your progress in life, and I know you're going to go far. I want you investing. I want you a check to see the cash, so like and when your MSTY throws off its cash every month, you need to be putting that into something, part of it at least, and various things like that. Uh, yeah, Mom, you know that I appreciate everything that you've done to help me through all these hard days. And the last 30 years when I would go through a transition and just be nuts for a week or two. Uh, and everybody else, from my stepkids to my in-laws and my sister and her family and my coworkers, uh, I want you to know that yes, that everything in life has momentum, and when it has enough momentum, you don't get to change it. And so you should plan around what that momentum is and figure it out and be comfortable. And that's where I am. All right.